All board members are present. To have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion's moved and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. First thing on the agenda is recognitions. We have none. Agenda items, none. Non-agenda items. Ms. Kettle, is she here? Right there.
Come up here, and you'll just hit the little button, so it'll.
You got 5 minutes.
Hello, my name is Rachel Kittle. I currently have 2 daughters that go to Raleigh County schools. The reason I'm coming by here today is just some things that I would like to address with the board as a whole. And before I even start that, I just want to say this is not a slight or anything negative towards the staff, principals, administration, and Raleigh County schools at all, because it seems like this is something that goes across the county. What I wanted to talk about is the classroom sizes. Specifically, I will use my daughter's classroom as an example. Last year, they did numbers. They rifted one of the 5th grade teachers, so they dropped it down to 2 5th grade teachers, even though they were right on the border of there being too many in the class. So fast forward to the beginning of school, and now those numbers are over. So now we're sitting with too many kids in 2 classrooms, when really I feel like what should have happened is this should have been taken care of before the start of school, so we can ensure a successful start to school, because now everything's chaotic. And the job got posted, I think, on the 19th. I'm sure that's with other schools as well, because I did see a lot of other 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade across the county, not just at my daughter's school, for job postings. That came down, I think, on the 26th, which would have been yesterday. So give or take a week for hiring, and we're 2 weeks into school without a permanent teacher. Classes are going to have to be split. I just think, if we're going to push test scores and things like that, it's important to set these kids up for success in the very beginning. And I understand with budgets and things like that, there are times that teachers have to get rifted, but sometimes it's at the cost of the kids. And I think it's very important that everybody, from a board standpoint, is looking to see, well, how are these class sizes? How big are they? Is 28 kids in a 5th grade classroom going to be successful as opposed to, say, 20 kids in a classroom? And I just would really like to see improvements made upon that. I know you all on the board, some of you all have worked in the school systems before, some of you all have not. And it's been several years for some of you all that have been in the school systems, and a lot of things have changed with COVID, kids being at home, home lives for different kids. Like, it's hard, and I just don't feel like it's fair for our kids, fair to the teachers, and fair to the administrators to put them in that type of environment or situation when we could prevent that from the get-go. Thank you.
Only comment I would have, and I'll just, and it's not a comment on your thing, I'll just tell you one thing, maybe you're aware, maybe you're not. We have to make a decision, it's crazy, no business would ever do it, that legislature makes us do it, on who we're gonna have to teach in February, am I correct? About February, for the next year. So, and if we don't, let's say you were a teacher and we kept you on, and you ended up only having 5 kids, we have to pay you that whole year for 5 kids. So that, it makes us very conservative, which in retrospect isn't fair to the kids, but that's not a law we make. The legislature makes that law and requires us to do it that way, because we have to make decisions so early and things. So, I mean, I agree with totally what you said, and we take it into effect, and it's not good for kids. I had when my son was in the 1st grade, he had 3 teachers. Within a little bit, he had he had a substitute, then that substitute got a permit, got another substitute, then we had to advertise it, so it was 3 teachers. And that's just not right, because those kids get attached to that teacher, and it's hard. It is hard. So I totally agree.
I guess my follow-up question for that would be, I know you have to make decisions in February, so say the end of May, when numbers are being looked at, is that not something you can look at these class sizes and say, well, let's put this job posting up over the summer as opposed to waiting until
We do that.
2 days before school.
We do that sometimes. A lot of times we will issue a RIF notice and then we'll remove it. Yeah, remove some of those
Okay.
sometimes. We do those. But then again, numbers, some schools just fluctuate tremendously. and stuff.
Right.
But all I can say is, I appreciate everything you're saying and we take it to heart. We'll look at it. Okay, thank you. Thanks for your input. Yeah.
I was just going to add, we can, certainly, we did rescind some of the RIF and transfer notices over the summer months when the numbers were very solid for the coming year. Some of our schools were still looking at, just maybe one student over, so we process a lot of transfers through the summer months. I want to say we had over 700 transfers this summer. And when we are processing that many transfers, kids moving in and out, both attendance areas in the county, but also leaving, students going to the Hope Scholarship Program, it's hard, it's very difficult to know exactly what we're going to have on day one. So for those classrooms that are close, we will make a final decision this Friday, I can tell you that.
Right.
But there are some classrooms that are very close. For instance, as of now, we have one classroom that has one student over, and as of Friday, if nothing changes, we'll have to post the teaching position for one extra student. So there are a few around the county that have not been posted, but anything else that we felt confident in doing in the summer months, we've done those.
Okay, I guess it's just frustration on my part and my child's part, because she's like, well, am I going to stay in this room? Am I not going to stay in this room?
And I certainly understand that.
I think there's 32 kids right now in her class.
I'm not aware of any class that has that many over.
What school are you in? You can tell us, what school?
Ridgeview,
Ridgeview, okay.
yeah,
What grade is that?
5th grade.
Mass being girl.
I don't have that number.
Okay.
The number that I have, it does not show that, but I will look at that tomorrow.
I think those were added in, like at open house, like at the registration
I
at the
will,
very beginning of the year.
I just looked at 4th and 5th grade at Ridgeview this morning, and that was not a number that I saw, but I will look again and speak with Miss Landy tomorrow.
Okay,
Okay?
I did meet with her yesterday, and we had, at the time, 29 and 27.
Okay.
We did ask her to put one of the 29 with the 20, because the law is 28 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the last numbers that we had from her.
okay.
But I don't know what happened this morning, but she can, yeah.
And even, like, just to kind of add on that, with 28, that's the very top of the, that's all they can have. But, all the research and all the data says smaller classroom sizes give better success, give better scores, give more individualized instruction. And it's just hard, like, to see your kid crammed into one classroom and other kids with so many different ability levels, home lives, social emotional issues, things like that. And I feel like if we can work to maybe lower classroom sizes, get them smaller, not only will you have as many teachers leaving the field, because it is so frustrating, amongst other things, but there's going to be students that aren't going to utilize those Hope Scholarship dollars, because that's the big thing. Most people want to go to smaller classroom sizes. So it's easy to get, you have a classroom with 15 is a lot better option than a classroom with 28. Thank you.
I got to go down to Liberty and look at the new asphalt. I see Mr. Daniel here. Everything looks good. Chris, I hope still working on getting us with the state road to get that road trimmed out. I've had a couple complaints, not from the school, but from people who live on that road. We're dumping that traffic on there, and the vegetation's grown in so bad there that if we can somehow get that vegetation cut back, but that's going to improve our parent pickup and drop off there a lot if we can get that taken care of. And we also got the asphalt up on top, so the parking, it just really good looking job up there, and I appreciate that. I was at the Liberty scrimmage the other day, and they had a good scrimmage and hoping for a good year at Liberty. I did have I don't know if you, Dr. Archer, if you heard this, I heard we were getting a lot of kids from Mount Hope Christian coming back to school. Had you heard that?
I know we've had some, I don't have a count on that, but I know we have had some
I
return.
know I talked to one of the guidance counselors at Woodrow, and they said they had a lot of them coming in, and it's just really put a real strain on them because of the problem there.
We're happy to have them back, so
They're happy to have them back.
any strain is
but-
okay.
But the
at this
problem
point.
is the level they're coming back in at.
Oh,
That's,
I can't speak to that.
I know you can't speak to that, but that's just a problem sometimes when people leave public
Sure.
schools for the hope, they think everything's going to be good, but sometimes the quality's not there when you go to private. Some of them are, but some of them aren't. And that's it.
So board members, a few updates. Today, we had a pre-construction meeting for the Stratton parking lot. So assuming everything goes good with Beckley Sanitary Board, or goes well with BSB, the contractor's prepared to start next week on the parking lot. I believe it's a just over 200-day contract, but if they can get started, they believe they can finish it before the asphalt plants close. So hopefully we'll get that this fall. Fingers crossed. In terms of Shady Elementary's playground, we do hope that the pre-K playground will be complete this week. Unfortunately, the contractor has hit significant rock on the 512 playground, so it's going to be a little while before the 512 playground, the full playground is complete. They are hopeful that one section with the Gaga pit and I think it's the 9-ball, I think that's what it's called. They're hopeful that they can get that so that our students have something to play with. But it's going to be a while before the full playground will be complete. And obviously,
Are they asphalting the
Stratton's
basketball
playground
court out there
is
too? It's in the basketball court?
open. Yes,
So maybe they get that done without rock problem. Are they,
we do have a basketball court, I believe.
basketball court
Basketball.
at Shady Springs Elementary, are they putting one in? You already have one?
No, it will be constructed.
We will have one, but
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Daniel, the only thing we have paved right now is where the 9 square is with the small.
That's there today, and it is fresh. The basketball court is complete except for the fence around. The asphalt's down, the strike, and the goals are up.
good, because that's something they can do, if they hit rock on the other, they can reach, put that basketball court in, give the kids a dry place to play.
It's been done recently.
Yes, thank you, appreciate it.
So that's good.
Talk
really
to Shady, where are we at, did we ever get a resolution on our road out there?
No.
Okay,
We're working with an attorney, and it involves Thrasher, and Verco was the contractor. So it's the three of us working together via an attorney. I want to give each of you this. This was a back-to-school document that directors contributed to, but Ms. Hodges and Ms. Blankenship put it together for us. So we had this printed. Every student would have received that the first day of school. So has a lot of different information. I know people particularly like these 2 pages in the back with the calendar. I see a lot of people posting these, but so this is something, we do this every year, but Ms. Hodges and Ms. Blankenship took the lead on that this year. So all of our students have received that. And then you may have received this via email. I mean, you may have printed it. I do believe you received it. This is a list of important dates for county boards of ed that Jim Brown with the School Board Association emailed to us.
He's wearing everybody out.
But you will see this regards basically any important date that's going to come up in our calendar for the year. He's prepared this document for us, so Carla printed that for each of you to have.
I think actually Bowles Rice did it.
Well, maybe Bowles Rice did it, but I believe.
He
Jim
put it out, he
Burns
did put it out, but I was gonna say, but Bowles Rice actually did the thing for us, for
So
the school.
it's a very good
It
document.
is a good document,
Yeah.
and so it's, I'm gonna say it's more than just his perspective,
work,
his board,
sure.
right, Bowles Rice did the thing, so it's a good document.
So we'd have you have that. I've already mentioned the class counts. Ms. Blankenship will be back on Friday, so we will be reviewing all of the final counts for our classes, and any jobs that we have to post will go up Tuesday. Given that Monday's Labor Day, we'll post Tuesday. And then the last thing I have this evening is we participated in the Honey Festival 2 Saturdays ago. So that was good. We had a nice turnout and were able to give students many books. We had students certainly from Raleigh County, but we met students from many different places as well. Other counties, from Montessori schools, from homeschool. We had a family, the dad was from Turkey. So we had a lot of good interactions that day. But we did that, and our next event, I believe, will be Chili Night again with our SNA chapter. So anyway, thank you.
I wanted to say too, I was kind of impressed with the Woodrow thing in the front of, I mean, they are moving right along. I said like,
They're
They are.
moving in the wrong, we
Well,
didn't
in
want
the
it in
wrong
that direction.
direction,
But they are moving.
They are.
And
I've never seen anything go quite so fast.
It's just digging a ditch for Murray.
Well, no, they seeded, I mean, it's not a big hole
they have,
anymore.
and it is a ditch, that is correct. But as Mr. Daniel and our maintenance department can attest to,
Yeah.
if they get too close to the current water line, it's not a good day for Woodrow or ACT. So it's already happened once, but I think we've been smooth sailing since then, knock on wood. But
I'm surprised anybody knows where the ditch, where the water line's at down there too. I mean, it's been there since the school was built. And I guarantee you, no one ever took a note and where it was put in when it was put in. So it's hard to what you might hit digging out there.
But I'll say, Mr. Stafford, as he has over the last few years with ongoing situations at Woodrow, he's doing a fine job, phenomenal job, and he'll make sure the campus operates, whether it's staff needing to move, or we shouldn't need to move students, and we shouldn't need to move buses, we don't believe, but the staff may have to juggle. But they'll do a fine job, and we'll get it finished. Thank you.
Okay, other reports, Mr. Dillon. Report on back-to-school wellness and community outreach fair.
Good evening, President Ford, board members, Dr. Starcher. Well, we did want to take a moment tonight to highlight our back-to-school fair that occurred on August 9th, the current month we're in. And this truly is a great day for our students in our community of Raleigh County. This awesome event, I believe, is made possible by the staff of Raleigh County. That's the service and the professional staff, the central office staff, and then the connection we have with so many great outside agencies that come together on this day. I would like to, while a lot of them are here, give a special thanks to those folks. Truly, this is the one event I feel like that we put on. There's probably more, but every department in Raleigh County Schools really does something with this, whether it's participating that day, whether it's Mr. Wisenhunt's folks coming over and delivering so much, whether it's Mr. Daniel's folks coming over and bringing a slew of cosmetology chairs, but everyone, and then of course the folks that are here, they participate that day, but everyone in Raleigh County Schools really does put their touch on this great event. This year we had 67 total vendors, so that's, to my knowledge, the most we've ever had. Of course, out of the 67, 27 of them are our schools. Then we had 10 central office, and then we had 30 outside agencies. So that number was way up. And once again, that's a thank you to the good folks of Raleigh County. We did have a best booth contest, and we divided that up by our schools, our central office, and then our outside agencies. And our folks always really get into that. They do a great job decorating and performing that day. Edible Arrangements is so kind to really ham that up and give out awards from Edible Arrangements to the winners. And we are happy to announce this year our school winner was Shady Spring Elementary. Our central office was Child Nutrition, and our outside agency was Access Health. So we truly had a good representation there. Then our overall winner was Child Nutrition. And when you think of what Child Nutrition pulls off that day, they serve over 800 meals that day to the folks that come through the doors. So that's truly amazing, and that's kudos to them. As I said, we had 67 vendors. This year we did a little bit different. We signed up families, if you will. That's what I'm going to call it. At the front door, we signed up 915 families at the front door. So I'm not talking about students, that's families. So obviously some of them bring multiple kids. So that was a truly a great feat, if you will. We have an art contest because it's the back to school wellness fair. And we truly try to put a focus on physical activity and living a healthy lifestyle. We have 16 entries this year, and 2 of them are to my right, and we picked a winner at the elementary level and one at the secondary level. Our winner at the elementary level this year was Marsh Fork, and our winner at the secondary level was Liberty High School. Quiet down.
Wasn't me.
But those folks, Miss Aubrey Williams and Miss Miley Pritchard and Kelly Mullahan, we provide them with a prize. So last year we did Nintendo Switches, and they really enjoyed those. So they will win a prize for their great art. And with our art, the way we choose that winner, when you come in the front door, you receive a ticket and you vote on the 16 people. So it's truly the community that picks that, so that's a great thing. We had our PSA contest again this year, our public service announcement contest. We had entries from Shady Spring High School, and their entry was toxic relationships, and Liberty High School, start the conversation preventing teen drunk driving. And they do a great job with that, and our technology department does a great job with that, and we'll have a winner there as well. We did give out door prizes every hour. Chocolate Mousse is so great to help us out there. And once again, our focus with Chocolate Mousse, not only can you get a milkshake, but you can do a physical activity. You can rock climb. You can play putt-putt. So they're a great partner with us. Once again this year, we received a grant from Arby's. That grant totaled $4,700. So I think last year was about $2,500. This year it was $4,700. And with that, we were able to purchase every pair of underwear from the Beckley and Crab Orchard Walmart. So there truly was a shortage there for about 2 or 3 weeks. But with that money, so graciously donated by Arby's, we were able to pass out 2,535 pairs of underwear. And we also pass out socks, and we were able to pass out 2,960 pairs of socks. So our goal with that is a child doesn't receive just one pair of underwear. We present the child with a week's worth of underwear and a week's worth of socks. So that's a great thing that our community helps us with. Our school supplies, we gave out 822 school supply bags. In those school supply bags are composition books, notebook paper, pencils, pens, rulers, water bottles, crayons, glue, scissors, erasers, highlighters. So we were able to give out 822. And I say this, I'll take the slap on the wrist for this. We gave out all we had. So you can blame me for that. I was underprepared. I never dreamed we had that many folks. Next year I'll be prepared. But that's a good thing. When we leave the Armory with giving out everything, I think that's a great thing. So 822. Something else new we did this year was we had a partnership with Aurora Ice. If you're not familiar with Aurora Ice, they have it going on, is what I've been told. So they do a lot of partnerships with our grade schools throughout the year. And that day we were able to give out 822 tickets to receive a free snow cone on your way out. And that was a hit. And last but certainly not least, our ACT, our cosmetology program. You know, the job that Mr. Pack does there, just like all of our other directors, It's second to none. And he didn't think he was going to be able to provide us the stylist, if you will, coming from a bald man. I think that's what they call it, maybe.
If I knew I was gonna be there, I'd have been there.
Yeah, that's right. Due to where we're at in the year with having people certified and whatnot, Mr. Pack made it happen. And this year, we performed 140 haircuts in about a 5-hour span. And with that, he was determined not to turn anyone away, and so he gave them vouchers that they could come back to ACT and get a free haircut. So that's a great thing for families of Raleigh County. So just once again, I would like to truly thank the folks in this room. They make it happen, and without them, that event could not happen. Miss Kathy Barr, too, I sing her praises. She does a great job with that event. And the amount of prep and the work that goes in the summertime getting ready for that is really, really huge, and it's these folks that make it happen. You guys have any questions or concerns or comments about that?
I just think it was a great kickoff for school. And back, on back of that, I heard very positive things on our open houses at all of our schools, which just recently happened too. I mean, the whole environment was positive.
Yes.
From everybody. It's been really good.
Yeah. Anything else? Thank you.
I would just say, as I said at the last meeting, a huge thank you to Mr. Dillon. It does take a great deal of work, and he's very humble, but he put a lot of time and effort into making sure the fair was a success. So thank you.
I'll just have to remember to buy my underwear early next year, I guess. He's going to buy all the underwear. He's going to be known as the underwear king of Raleigh County, I guess.
There you go.
I too thank you as well, and thank everyone participating. It makes me tired just knowing what all work went involved in putting it together. Okay, back to school program, Ms. McClung. Or her assistant.
The back to school or summer programs that I'll have on the background while I share. So good evening, President Ford, Dr. Starcher, board members. I would like to share with you an overview of the summer programs offered by Raleigh County Schools and our community partners. You should each have, I think, a couple of page print off of a rundown of summer programs, but the students in each programmatic level, from rising kindergarten students to rising seniors, had an opportunity to participate in engaging and enriching summer programs that were intended to support both their academic needs and their social and emotional needs. Programs ranged from single-day events to multi-week programs. So I'll start with the Science of Reading Targeted Intensive. This program was offered to kindergarten students who did not meet the end-of-year screener cut score. 40 total students were invited to participate, and 11 students registered and attended at least a portion of the program at 3 sites across the county. Kindergarten Roundup was held at 10 schools for rising kindergarten students. This was a 3-day camp and was intended to help students transition into kindergarten. Students were able to meet teachers, become familiar with their school, and participate in engaging activities. I think the pictures on the screen were from Fairdale's Kindergarten Roundup. 6th grade orientation. All 5 middle schools hosted 6th grade orientations for their rising 6th grade students this year. Students were able to meet teachers, see their school in their classrooms. The teachers participating reviewed expectations. They practiced lockers, and they did team building activities. Next was the 9th grade Gear Up program. Rising 9th grade students participated in a 1-day 9th grade orientation. This was held at each of the high schools, and teachers at these camps reviewed expectations, held seminars on student success, and participated in team building exercises. And the last Raleigh County camp was Rising Senior Night, and this was held at each of the high schools this year. And each event hosted community booths with information relevant to seniors and their families. And that was very well attended. Raleigh County also partnered with some community partners to offer community camps. There was Camp STEM offered by WVU Tech, and this was open to any student in 9th through 12th grades in Raleigh County and surrounding counties, and was hosted at WVU Tech. Students that participated spent 6 days immersed in STEM learning. An additional Gear Up STEM camp was offered to 7th and 8th grade students, and that was offered to Raleigh, Wyoming, Summer, Mercer, and Monroe County students. Active HISTA members in the 10th grade participated in the Health Science and Technology Academy. Enrollment and attendance for this camp was decided by HISTA. And finally, Raleigh County Schools partnered with the WVU Extension Office to host 4 Energy Express sites. Energy Express is a 6-week summer reading and nutrition program for children in the 1st through 6th grades, and this program is intended to prevent summer slide. Based on enrollment as a reflection, we've talked about it may be beneficial to expand the Science of Reading Summer Intensive to all identified students through 3rd grade, because we did have those teachers in place and had space for them. The Rising Senior Program was expanded to all high schools this year and was very well received, as I mentioned. And to save the best for last, I didn't give you a total on the number of students, but this effort allowed Raleigh County to serve a total of 1,004 students this summer. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think the science of reading, the intensive help, I think that's a wonderful idea. I'm really disappointed in the number of participants, though, especially when you said you had 40 that were invited. And I am assuming that these were, like Beckley Daniels Fair Do, they were satellites so that they had to, it wasn't
Yes, that's
offered at every
correct.
school.
Yes, that's correct. And
And the 15 days, in my mind, I'm thinking maybe that was a problem. I know that it's intensive help, and I don't know how you do that in a less number of days, but 15 days for a 1st grader in the summertime is almost a month. And that's a lot. And I don't know how you get at it otherwise. I'm not saying I have the solution here. I'm just saying maybe that's a problem.
so we had a lot of conversations about this. Ms. Lowry led the conversations with our district Science of Reading team. To comply with the 3rd Grade Success Act, we do have to offer, it has to be, what's the phrasing on that? Extended, intensive.
Intensive instruction, it's supposed to be.
I was wondering if it was a state requirement.
It
to
is.
write on it.
It is.
But the
We're
teachers,
looking at different ways.
15 days for a 1st grader, just, and I know you're trying to help them, and we all want to do that, but that's just a lot.
and the teachers that led these groups, I won't mention them by name, but it was not a traditional sit and get it was just amazing. One of the teachers did an outdoor classroom and reading, and every one of those children performed, exceeded expectations. And each of these teachers did call the 40 children personally, speak with their parents. So,
Yeah, I don't know how you get around, it's summertime, and I don't want to deal with that.
yeah.
Well, you got
I'm
people.
sure it's part of it, but again. it's-
Well, and
15
perhaps
days is problematic.
Spreading the word and letting them know that it's not school. Yeah.
Maybe.
Because we have to approach it differently. They didn't get it in traditional methods, so we have to offer
People
them.
that maybe can't get there.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm saying, you think 'cause you had-
Which we did offer
We
transportation.
had
Yeah,
transportation to it,
yeah,
buses, but,
So a lot of the other ones you did.
yeah.
yeah.
But it's also vacation time. I mean, there's lots of stuff. I mean,
It's just a shame that.
it's a very good
Yes, yes,
program, but it's
ma'am.
just how to get people in. When did you have it? What was the dates on? Do you remember when it started?
It started,
Last 2 weeks of June, and then we skipped July 4th week, and then the next 2 weeks. And we did say on our registration form that if you could come 3 days, come 3 days. If you need to be, and our teachers actually, we just said, call us ahead of time, so we'll know if you're coming, we'll get lunch and all of that. So we transported them, we fed them. That's why we're looking at maybe doing K to 3 next year. this was a new thing for the whole state, to try to see what kind of rollout would be
I
better.
don't have the answer. I just know it's problematic.
I know,
Yes.
and it is.
And maybe survey those parents and see what the reservations were. I mean, you know, it could, I mean, it is some of the kids, I mean, if it was me, when I was in summer, I wouldn't return your call, but that, because it's my summer, okay?
I'm sure that happened a lot.
Yeah,
down here.
yeah.
It's just that I'm not doing it. That's something.
I mean, you think we did offer it to the 40 that needed it the most, and
Yeah.
sometimes they're the ones who didn't come to school either.
That's the reason, so it's kind of, yeah.
When you do 2 and 4 kids, that's hard.
Wow. And this was a learning year too. This is the first year we've done it, and we can most certainly improve on the work we started. Thank you.
Thank you, Melody.
Preschool data report,
Good evening, President Ford, Dr. Starcher, and board members. Ms. Blankenship could not be here this evening, so I'm stepping back into a role I had before to try to present our preschool data for the beginning of this year. So currently, right now, we have 674 preschoolers enrolled. At this time last year, we had 567. So that's a huge increase, which we are very pleased to see. We have 558 of those at Raleigh County sites, 116 at Head Start, which we can count those and get funding for. We have 37 preschool classrooms that include 30 of our regular rooms, 2 ABA preschool rooms, and then the others are at the Head Start sites. We have 5 there. We added 2 new rooms this year, one at Coal City and one at Hollywood. So we were really pleased with that, and they are both full. We found a real need there at those sites, and so we were able to add them at those schools. 12 of our schools are at full capacity. That means we don't have any more spots for preschoolers there. 5 are not full, but very close. Clear Fork has 15, they can have 20. Beckley has 36, they can have 40. Daniels 50, and they can house 56. Marshwork 19, they're 1 away from capacity. And Maxwell has 26, they can have 36. Everyone has been provided a spot, or at least offered one. We only have 8 students still on a waiting list, not including our 3-year-olds waiting for their spots, but 8 on a waiting list that just didn't want to go to any of those other options that are waiting for maybe someone not to come or that a spot would open up. So we still are getting applications daily. This year we did do that online, which was a huge benefit. We feel like we got a lot more applications earlier than we typically do. So that's where we're at with preschool right now. And so I think that's a really good sign. I know last year we had 8 in preschool at Clear Fork, and now we have 15. So I think that's really showing that the kids are coming and that we have a larger enrollment starting out in that younger grade. So we're really pleased to catch them early. Thank you.
you stay there, you stay there.
I am. Teresa, I'm sorry.
This, for your assessment data,
Yes, I'm excited to present this year. Let me get me mirrored here.
thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go over the general summative assessment data, and we're going to do this kind of in chunking pieces so that the board meetings won't be so extensive with all the data at one time. So tonight I'm going to present school data, county data, and rankings, and then the next board meeting you're going to get grade levels and cohorts. And then the following would be the Title I data. So we're going to kind of do these in pieces, and then we'll have our diagnostic data as well, so that it'll be a little more comprehensive and not so much overwhelming at one time. So we're going to go over the 2024 General Summative Assessment data. If you'll look on the screen there's Raleigh County. And so we are 12th in the state of West Virginia. If you'll recall, we were 14th. So we have improved 2 positions from 14th to 12th out of 55 counties. I know our goal was to be in the top 10. I know that was a personal goal of mine, but it's a journey. It's not a sprint, and we'll get there. We're all super excited to be 12th. I know this has been a team effort that everyone from the cooks to bus drivers, it takes getting them there, feeding them, the schools, the playgrounds being ready, all of that has played into our academic success. So we're very pleased that we have increased. In the southern counties, or in our district, we are the only one up there. The rest are considerably lower, so super proud of that as well. And we'll go back here. You can see which counties are ahead of us, because Putnam, we're always shooting for them, and you'll see the changes there. Pendleton, I'd like to have a conversation with them to see.
I was gonna say, I can't believe Pendleton County.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the poorest, one of the poorest counties in the state, most rural county in the state. They're doing something right. They jumped 16 places, but they said we had a really good bunch of kids out there.
So I don't know how close Dr. Starcher is to that superintendent. We need to get some little hidden information there. And they weren't even in there last year. Like yes, they weren't there. So that would be, I would like to know that. Because if you look at the others, it's a little differences. But Doddridge dropped, considerably. So we're very pleased that we are 12th. And we're going to look at what is considered when they look at those rankings. So once again, our goal this coming year would be to be in the top 10, and certainly even 11th. But we're thrilled with 12th. At least I know that all of us at the office are super pleased. So if we look at the data, and you have, we're going to look at the schools in a second. But if you look here, based on West Virginia and Raleigh County. So we're ahead of the state in math, we're ahead of the state in ELA, and then we're 1% behind in science. The numbers you see across there, the 0, +1, and -4, is where we were in comparison to ourselves last year. But I thought it was interesting with pre-COVID, I added that we are above where we were before COVID. So I think that's significant that we have closed that gap to an extent. At least we're moving ahead of where we were. So I was really pleased to see that when we started looking at the data. That was something worth noting. So next, we're going to look at our high school rankings, and you do have this on your first sheet there at the bottom. And so based out of 112 high schools, these are where our rankings are. And I have them there in order. So Shady, Liberty, Woodrow, and Independence. And you can see the losses and the gains there. Liberty gained significant amount, and we're going to show you, you'll see there's individual data here in just a second. You're going to see why. Any questions so far or comments? Okay, so next, looking at that data, here is the high school. Anything in yellow was a drop from last year school-wide. Anything in green was a positive. And so when the rankings are developed or configured, they consider science in that. I know a lot of people say, well, we're just focused on ELA and math, but we're going to talk about science a little bit later. But science is important, and you can see where that really helped Liberty. Not only that, but their ELA is up 12%. That is a huge gain for Liberty High School and to be commended. And then their science as well. And then you'll see Woodrow had a significant decrease. They were 7th in the state last year and dropped to 42nd. So that's concerning. Okay. Then we have our middle school rankings. And you'll see here Park is still 15th. They were 14th, so they've dropped one position. But I want you to really look there at the bottom one. Beckley Stratton has gained 41 places in a year. I think that is certainly to be recognized. We're super proud of that and the work that was done there. I know lots of people had a lot to play there. Ms. Hodges was there and did a lot of work continually. We put a coach in there, second semester, an academic coach. Mr. Smith, the administration, worked with Ms. Hodges and our offices to really focus there and try to make that happen, and we are super proud of that. That they gained 41 positions. If you recall, they were near the very bottom at the state. And then here are the middle school scores. You can see there that Beckley Stratton was the only one that was green across all subject areas. Of course, Park was, they were the same in science, so they still had some growth there. So our middle schools we're going to talk about, but they had some growth. Once again, and Mr. Snuffer talks about this pretty often, is we're not where we need to be. Even though we're showing this growth, we're 12th in the state. I mean, that's saying a lot about the state. You still see there that not even half of our kids are where they need to be in math and reading. At Park, we have 56% that are proficient in ELA. And when we look at that, we say that's a significantly high number. We're really pleased with that. But really, that's just a little over half of our kids are proficient readers, and that's concerning.
Then we're going to move over to the elementary schools. And here are their rankings. So Hollywood is still up there at 7th. They dropped 1 position, but Crescent had a gain of 4. You're going to see a drop in positions there on this first slide. You're going to see their proficiency a little bit later. Most of them had improvement, but their science either pulled them down, or what this means is other elementary schools in the state outperformed us, elementary-wise. And so that's what you'll see here is the most of our top schools, these are in the top section, they had some drops. And here's the second half. But again, we want you to point out Marsh Fork. They were a CSI school. They were certainly a concern. Spent a lot of time there. Miss Blankenship, myself, a lot of the title, Mary, Miss McClung and Miss Reeve, the coaches. So we spent a lot of time with Marsh Fork and working with them. We had significant gains there. You'll see Cole City and Beckley Elementary. They had a lot of proficiency growth in both subject areas. Fairdale had a 72 ranking increase last year, and then they've just dropped back down again. So we're going to have to take a hard look there and spend time working with that school and several of these schools as well, Clear Fork. And here's our elementary performance. You take a look at Beckley there. They had double digits in ELA and math, which is super proud of that. Once again, though, still 30% of their kids, 31 and 33% are proficient. And that's not good enough.
Well, in science, 6%. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is to that. That's your all's job, but I can almost go any, meeny, miny, mo on a test and get that. Yeah, so I don't know how we incorporate science in the elementary, in the reading and everything else, but we just need to,
And we do have a really great program that has most informational text in the benchmark series. Remember, science is 5th grade, students are tested only. And so this is just a snapshot of 5th grade. Yeah. But I do think that we haven't had that streamlined focus on it. This is just as important as the ELA and the math. And a lot of this is cross-curricular. We shouldn't be teaching, this is science time, this is reading time, this is math time. That is all integrated, where all of those, you could do graphs and you maps, that can be math, and that's science, and then that's reading, and then you bring all of that together. That's how we should be teaching. And one thing that I want to talk to you about is we should be teaching to that higher level child. We should be teaching grade level standards that are using that science tier 2 vocabulary to where you may not think that child understands it, but we expose them to that, and then we scaffold. And so that's a focus that we're going to really work on this year. And then here you see our other schools, the other half of the elementary. Once again, Marsh Fork had a 21% increase in ELA. Of course, you see Mabscott had a 20% decline in science once again. So that really hurt their ranking. So even though they had growth in ELA, the science really brought them down as far as the state levels. Any questions or comments so far as we're going through?
I guess I'll go back to what you said there. I have a problem with the science being so low if your reading scores up there, because to me, it's the same thing. If they can read and use science in your reading, then they're learning science when they don't even know they're learning science. So, I don't know the curriculum on our science right now, but to me, that's something that needs to be integrated to the point that they're not separated. Like you said, they're all.
Correct. And one thing, remember also that in the ELA is also a chunk of that score is their writing. So we really focus on that writing. So they've gotten a lot of higher scores maybe on the writing, but not on the informational text. And that is one of our weaknesses, the informational content, the science information, the social studies, the nonfiction part. But things to note that we're going to talk a little bit about is, last year we talked about the disconnect between elementary and middle schools and how far that was. If you'll remember, and it's been a whole year, but 5th grade was so much higher than our 6th grade students. Well, if you look here, in fact, 5th grade's high, or 6th grade's higher now. Those students performed better than they did last year, but their the middle school disconnect is not there any longer. That has narrowed, and we really attribute that to iReady. I think having that benchmarking, having tools to look and see which standards they weren't mastering, that helped those teachers with the toolbox to have an idea of where to focus. So working with small groups, that's something that we've started implementing at the middle school level. Focusing on those iReady deficits helped us to streamline and focusing on those students that needed help at certain areas. Third grade students performed highest in math, and like I said at our next meeting, we're going to talk more about grade levels and where they're at. Sixth grade students performed the highest in ELA. And we talked about science. We cannot neglect science. And if you attended the Ron Clark, which most everyone in this room behind me did, the United States is 41st in the world in science and math. 41st. And that's where most of the jobs are going to be. I mean, those are the kids that are going to be digging our ditches at Woodrow and building our playgrounds and teaching our students and cooking in our kitchens and taking care of us. And science and math is where we need to really, I mean, ELA as well, but we need to not forget about science. So that's something we need to look at and put significance on. Raleigh County was above the state at all grade levels in ELA. And we were above the state at all grade levels in math, except fifth grade, who was the same as the state. But once again, you say, oh, well, that's really good, but 39%. 39%, yes. And so if we're 12th, and that's what I'm saying, if we're 12th in the state, yes, that's fantastic, we're 12th out, but where, it's scary to think about where the others are falling.
If you had a passing grade, which is 60 and everything, you'd be number one in the state. And I mean, that's just the way
Correct.
these things are, but it's just not our problem, it's everybody's problem. But I know the state science scores were down too. So
Correct.
Everybody's was down, so. And we're just, I think we still have a hangover from COVID on some of these children. Whether
Agreed.
it's reading or math or whatever, we're dealing with that, so they're still in a catch-up phase. They probably never get completely there, some of them, because they missed that, if you don't get it in that first 2 or 3 years, I mean, Dad will show you, it's hard to really get it on reading and stuff. So, but,
And a big focus too from COVID is they still haven't gotten over that mentality that you don't have to be at school every day. That it might be on Zoom or somebody will I'm not Zoom, but Schoology, someone will catch. But so we have that significance that we got to get them to school. I mean, that's imperative. Get them there, and then we can focus on this. But I think we haven't recovered quite with the attendance piece from COVID as well.
it's just not school, it's just business too, believe me.
Absolutely.
They used to work at home, they don't want to come back to the office. They do.
Yeah, and we're seeing that throughout our society, yes. So ongoing practice is that we are going to continue our administrator goal and data meetings. We've had several of those this week. We still have a few more to go with high schools and non-title elementary schools. So our first round of goal and data meetings is occurring now. Secondary school interventions, we do have the iReady pathways for middle school and small group instruction. iReady is going to be at middle school only this year. You're going to see something different on our next slide that we're going to do at the high school level. I'm working with Mrs. Hodges, with the principals. There's some changes we wanted to make there. We're going to continue the diagnostic data analysis with each of our benchmarks, and then we have growth monitoring throughout the year. K-2 will have ECATs in every classroom with 13 or more students, and that's required through the Science of Reading bill. We are going to have quarterly innovation teacher trainings focusing on that science, technology, math piece. Monthly curriculum team meetings at the elementary level with a focus on math. After-school tutoring for K-3, that's also part of the Science of Reading bill. Dyslexia screening for the kids who don't meet the cut score. Title I academic coaching support. We have a math content specialist support now at the office. That's Leanne Chesley, who's working from this office on math. We're going to continue the Simple Solution SPA review and the beginning teachers and long-term substitute support through teacher leader induction. And we have some ideas there that we're going to put into place. New practices is the new math curriculum implementation. We're excited to see where this brings us, and we have McGraw-Hill Reveal Math at middle and high schools, Curriculum and Associates Ready Math at the elementary schools. If you recall last year, that's where some of those highest counties are using the Ready Math at the elementary level. At high schools, we're going to PSAT the high schoolers instead of doing the iReady diagnostic. Working with Ms. Hodges and those schools, we feel like that's more applicable because they're going to be taking the SAT, that they'll take that more seriously to see where they are. We're able to do this for free. Fall, we're going to do grades 9th through 11th, and spring will be 9th through 10th. And then we'll all be taking the PSAT, and that's where we obtain our data for those students. We're going to, new is quarterly STEM teacher training. This is a little different from innovation. This will be all STEM teachers. You heard a couple of board meetings ago about the math mats and movement, and that's at Title I schools. Do the Math is a Title I supplemental program for Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention. So it's only done with those students who Title I teachers are serving, just as that scaffolding piece to help get those skills that may have they're missing to help reach those other level skills. Because we want them exposed to grade level content in the classroom. Alex, that's the math component that we have at middle and high schools. That's part of the new math that provides videos for students if they've missed, and we do that with Ready Math as well. If they've missed school or if the parents don't know how to do something, they can watch those videos. There's also lessons there that a teacher can assign on the technology end that kids, if they didn't do quite well with fractions, they can give them that lesson, or it could be a homework piece. Monthly curriculum team meetings now for secondary schools. So Mrs. Hodges has worked hard on that, getting that started, so we'll be doing the same thing we've done with elementary with secondary. Beckley Stratton Middle School, a huge piece now, is they've been designated Title I, so they will now have Title I support. We have a Region 6 numeracy and literacy specialist, and that's offered through the Department of Education. They meet with the Science of Reading team once a month here at the county level. And Wendy Peters applied for our Sparking Early Literacy Grant. That was over $50,000, and she was rewarded that. So we're going to be able to offer explicit vocabulary training to our teachers. 65% of our students are not proficient in vocabulary. So using the Marzano model, we're going to be offering a lot of training on that piece.
What y'all saying?
Pardon me?
What y'all saying?
Did I say that? Yeah, what do y'all say? Ron Clark, when he did his presentation, he talked about our 1%, teaching to the highest level student with grade level content and building relationships. And those are key pieces that I took away and that we want our county teachers to take away. He talked about everyone doing 1% more. And I had a few things that I put on my 1% list, but if we all did 1% more this year, how much difference would that be as a county? He talked about teachers are tired. They don't want to do all of these things that we keep putting on them, but if they had 1% difference, it might be trying to learn a name of a student, one student a week. Or for me, it's going to eat lunch at every school at least twice a month, or going to schools to eat lunch at least twice a month, to try to get to schools and eat twice a month and put that on my calendar. There's some other things too that I have, but we were talking about all of our 1%, teachers are talking about their 1%, and there's a funny story. There was a teacher at Independence Middle School, and he said, my husband teaches there, and he came up, he said, would you go back and tell Miss Lowry that I did my 1%, I'm doing my 1%. And he said, well, what is it? He said, I'm starting to wear a tie. And you think, well, how's that going to make a difference? But when a student sees that, like, you're dressed this way and you're professional and you cared enough to, that makes a difference. And that was his 1%. And that was very meaningful and just, it gives me chills, but that is significant. So if we focus on those 1%, whether it's being more positive with our students, there's lots of things that they mentioned. Can you all recall some of those?
Tanya had everybody move at Coal City.
Yes. Well, yeah, Tanya Jordan, we met with our principals yesterday at Coal City on open house night. She said, I think a great 1% would be, let's put our cars on the side of the road, and let's give our parents the main parking lot. And that 1%, she said they came in saying what a difference that made for them. What a difference that made. So there's little things that we're starting to hear about. There were several stories, but I can't remember them all, that they've already talked about their 1%. So that is significant. And if everyone continues those 1%, it'll make a difference. It'll make a difference. If he keeps wearing that tie and they keep moving those cars, that makes a difference. Teaching to the highest student with grade level content. At Ron Clark Academy, they don't have the highest of highs. They take low performing students with special needs, students in poverty, and they're above 80%. And he said, I will tell you, if you teach to your highest child, if that lesson plan is to the highest kid in your room, then the rest will meet that. It's about expectations. And then you scaffold with other materials, the other things that we're doing. And building relationships, and we know that how important that is. Are there any questions or anything from there? All right. I wish Josephine was here so I could tell her about the 2% increase.
Okay, I got my tie on.
Okay. Think about your 1%, so we can all do them.
I do thank you for that. I know it's a slippery slope and it's always hard to do, but if we don't focus on improvement, you know, the only way you can go is backwards.
Oh, correct,
And
correct.
so I do really appreciate that. And you talked about the tie. I taught VOAC for 2 years. I wore a tie every day to class. And I had people make fun of me because I was teaching shop, I was in the greenhouse thing. I wore a tie every day, and they always ask me why. I said, because I'm different than the students. The differentiation, they see it when they come in. You know, it's just I mean, I'm old generation. I'm not saying some of the guys today that don't do it are not doing a good job, but that's just the way it was. It was a thing on it.
Yeah, even for me, when you walk into a business and I see the two people there, you know, you feel like the one that's really cares about that is the person that's dressed the part. And they both may be very professional, but it makes a difference on how you're perceived. It does. So there's lots of little things. Yeah.
Thank you. Raleigh County School District Positive Behavior Intervention and Support, Mr. Sexton and Ms. Lewis.
Superintendent Starcher and board members, thank you for letting Teresa and I talk to Ms. Lewis and I talk to you a moment about a proactive approach that we're taking here in Raleigh County Schools towards supporting students that, we're supporting all students with behavioral needs. We know that a lot of times that as we come to you in front of the board, you're addressing behavioral issues or discipline issues. And we want to arm you with some information about what we're doing as a central office to support our schools so that as schools bring issues before you, you'll know the scaffolded support that the students have received or should have received prior to landing in a position where you have to make a discipline decision. So as a district, we've chosen to partner with the Champion Model. So Raleigh County Schools is a PBIS Champion Model district. Champion Model is a national model which we've adopted and we've began to teach here in Raleigh County Schools. We began actually last school year, and I apologize for my low-tech solution. My slides weren't working, so we're using a PDF version here. So we began in January of last year talking about what PBIS is. There was a lot of folks that were uncomfortable with just that acronym. What is PBIS? Is it another program? Is it another curriculum? Is it another set of something that we have to implement in our schools? So we began last year teaching what is PBIS to make sure they were very comfortable with the acronym so they knew once this school year began that it wasn't something else added onto their plate. It's what we do already. It's just how we approach the method. So you can see through the course of last school year, we taught different components of what is PBIS, what is the Champion Model, and we've adopted it now and began with on August, what date was that? It was in August, our leadership, August 7th, during our leadership meeting, we began the process of actually looking at where are we now. So an overview of PBIS, very succinctly, it is teaching clear expectations. And you would think that that's a no-brainer, but we have to remind everyone that students coming into our schools, even those students that have been with us for a long period of time, we have to remind them what are our school expectations. But not only the school expectations, but expectations across the school environment. As you would expect that a classroom expectation is different from a hallway, from a cafeteria, from any other location in the school. So we began with talking about teaching and defining clear expectations for your school, teaching those expectations, having positive ways to influence and support those behaviors, and then reviewing your data with some regularity to make sure that whatever interventions we are putting in place is being effective. And we used the leverage of Policy 2419 about 2 years ago. Policy 2419 was revised and included in it the multi-tiered systems of support. I've presented to you before on that, reminding you that those tiered systems of support is where really T4 comes from. If schools aren't able to provide those 3 levels, then we have something else. But then this school year, 4373 has been revised, which is the policy that Ms. Lewis is heavily involved in, and it embedded heavily these components as well.
Yes, what we are trying to do with this, because policy 4373 now says there has to be NTSS supports for behavior as well as academics and attendance. That's our state superintendent's focus, is to make sure we're supporting students in the journey. So in this, our schools, and this is nothing new. I've been around a long time, and we started PBIS many years ago, and it was the Judy Bruner model back in the day. So it's nothing new, it's just refreshed again, and we're trying to dust off the idea that PBIS has given every child a Jolly Rancher for doing what they're expected to do. That's not what it is. It's not Jolly Ranchers. That's icing. We like for kids to think, okay, I go to work, yes, I love children and I love serving our community, but I also like my paycheck every 2 weeks. So we're looking at it as a way of developing work skills. I do this amount of work and I receive this in return for our incentives. Hopefully we can change culture a little bit with that. So Tier 1 is universal. It's the expectations of the school. Tier 2 is targeted for those students that have trouble following those rules. They will have targeted supports in small groups to remediate those behaviors. And then our Tier 3 is our intervention. They would be the most extreme models that would need another additional layer of support for behavior. We are trying to encourage the the principals to believe that you have to look at behavior data the same way you look at academics. If a child is not in a school where they feel safe and supported, and there is those rules and consistency, our achievement will never go up. So we have to tackle that the same way we're tackling academics. And the benefits of implementation: an improved school climate. Children, hopefully, attendance will also be increased. School is a place they enjoy going to. They can learn as well as have some fun along the way. Reduce behavioral issues, decrease in the number of disciplinary incidents and disruptions, and better academic performance.
So to support schools, we wanted to make sure that principals realize that central office has their back, basically, and that we support them 100%. So we've developed district-wide, Raleigh County School District PBIS leadership team, in which we're meeting tomorrow, actually starting at noon through about 2 o'clock, talking about different aspects of what we need to do to support schools so they can successfully implement this in their buildings. From the aspect of, we need to provide some monetary support so they can have some of the tools they need to put it in place. We also need to provide them support in the way of appreciating their we need to celebrate their successes in their schools. And so through this model, it is called, of course, the champion model. The champion model is based in the medal system. Just so happens that it coincides with the Olympic year. It worked well with our theme for our leadership meeting. But what we showed them is that we are going to help celebrate each school by designate them as either a bronze level PBIS school, a silver level school, or a gold level school. We'll do that through central office teams partnering with schools to look at the levels of implementation over time, and as they earn those medals, we'll celebrate in a large way with the district to make it well known that these schools are progressing through the tiers to become a gold level school. So that you know, the gold level school would be a tiered 3 school. So Tier 1 is where we're starting right now, making sure we have school-wide behavior supports. Tier 2, we have small group supports. Tier 3, we have very individualized supports. So we're going to progress very methodically through that process, and all schools will get to a gold level school. We know that they will. So right now where we are, and tomorrow we're talking about, is building effective school teams. We're talking about that first meeting for school level PBIS teams. We need to pull them together and talk about what are the school expectations, how are you displaying your expectations, how are you teaching your expectations, what do you need from us to make sure you can do that. And so tomorrow we'll be talking about those and letting them know what the expectations would be for working their way up the tiers from bronze to gold. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have no unfinished business. Under policies and procedures, these are to be placed on a 30-day comment period. Approve the repeal and replacement of policy D.3.1, attendance policy. Anybody speak to that?
Mr. Ford, I can, and then Ms. Lacy's here if we have any specific questions. But the State Board of Education recently actually repealed and replaced policy 4110, attendance for the state. So Ms. Lacy and I've worked to propose a recommendation to repeal and replace our own attendance policy, and you'll see that before you. State law changed this year, so this policy is very long, but state law did change this year. On page, they're not numbered, item 3.12, a system of support plan. Every school, the state board is supposed to develop, I guess, a template, if you will, or a system of support plan, and then we have to implement it. But as Ms. Lewis briefly mentioned, we now have to have MTSS for attendance. So that's basically what you're seeing here. With that system of support, you'll see 3 tiers: universal prevention, then targeted intervention, intensive intervention, on pages 3 and 4 there. So that's something definitely new in this policy. I jumped ahead. You'll also see at the bottom of page 2, 3.8, the definition of meaningful contact. That is something that has significantly changed for our schools. There's much more work to be done on the school level by the principal or the, whether it's the SAT or a school level attendance team, MTSS team. There's much more work to be done for attendance, but anyway, you will see that in this policy. We, as we put this new policy together, we included some of what used to be in appendices. We've moved it into the body of the policy. Much of it was duplicated before, so now we just have one, whether it's in an appendix or in the policy. And then I would just draw your attention to the very last page of this. It's a new appendix. It's called JC's Law. This is something else that is new to the state based upon changes in law. But JC's Law serves to support students who are pregnant, as well as the father of those babies, to keep them in school, basically, to provide support. So you'll see the responsibilities that we now have to, and I'm not saying we didn't do it before with some of what's now required, but you will see what is now required for students, for us to do for students who are both pregnant, and then, like I said, for fathers of those babies. But anyway, I would just recommend this be placed on 30-day comment, and again, all of it would be in line with the new changes to 4110.
You have heard the recommendation. Do you have a motion?
Move we put policy, hang on a second, D.31, attendance policy out for 30-day comment.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approve the revisions of policy D.3.6, education of homeless children and youth. You talked about that too?
Yes, I will speak to that. As you will see, there have been some changes, just more grammatical or formatting in nature, but then others that have been changed due to changes either in state policy or the McKinney-Vento Act, the federal act regarding homeless children. So we would just recommend this be placed on 30-day comment.
Do I have a motion to?
I move we put policy D.3.6, education of homeless children and youth for 30-day comment.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Approve revisions of policy E.17, homeschool.
Yes, Mr. Ford, so in section 1, you will see that this needed to be changed. We still had that children had to reach their 6th birthday before September. It's July, so we changed that. And then we had to add micro school on page 3, letter B. We had to add micro school program as a place we would have to accept a transcript from if a student came to us from a micro school. So that's in accordance with state code. We would recommend this be placed on 30-day comment.
So do I have a motion?
I move we put E.17 homeschool out for 30-day comment.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. These following policies are to have completed the 30-day comment period. And the first one is approve revisions of policy C.1.21, conference attendance.
As you've done in
Do we have comments on a couple of these?
just one, I was going to say,
Which one was the one that had I can't remember, I saw it.
it is letter C.
Letter C.
Yes, so
Is it okay if we do them as a group then?
Except for C.
Except for C?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I would move that we put, approve the revision for C.1.21, conference attendance, C.122, arrangement of substitute, D.3.3, student records, D.3.17, regulations of educational students with exceptions, and D.2.3, school-sponsored media, as a group, approved revisions.
There a second? 2 seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. C, approve the revisions of policy C.2.11, beginning teacher mentoring program.
we did have one comment on this policy, and you should have received a copy. You should have received a copy in your folder. That is a comment in support of the changes. It's from one of our teachers, encouraging us to have the mentors for teachers, new teachers, in the building, if at all possible. So, based on this comment and not receiving any others, I would recommend it be
Approved?
approved as presented.
Okay. I move that we approve policy C.2.11, beginning teacher mentoring program, considering comments and as was returned to us.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I want my no reflected.
She needs to ask for
please.
you. Yeah, 1 no.
Oh,
So
I
it's
didn't
4 to
hear
1. Need an
Four
announce
to
it, but,
one. Yeah, I want my no reflected.
yeah.
Correct the records, 4 to 1.
Thank you.
Consent items A, B, C, D, and E. Is there any objection to approving A, B, C, D, and E together, or do you want to pull any of them out?
No. I move we approve the consent items as were submitted to us.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
New business. Consider approval of the West Virginia Tractor Company quote for purchase of refuge packer truck. You want to say anything?
Mr. Daniel can come forward if you want any information about the truck, but as you will recall in your budget, in our budget for the year, the board gave us permission, if you will, to purchase a new truck, but Mr. Daniel can tell you about it.
President Ford, members of the board, Superintendent Starcher.
Just hit the button.
How's that?
That's good.
All right. Good evening, everyone. In the spring, you did approve the purchase of an e-refuge truck. In my short time in maintenance, the trash truck has been an issue. On our first day of school this year, our current truck broke down, And for the past 2 days, we've had 3 small dump trucks and 6 of our maintenance men traveling the county, pitching bags of garbage into the truck. I can tell you those are some of the worst days in maintenance, trying to motivate an electrician or an HVAC technician that today you get to be the garbage man. We did get fortunate with this truck. One is in production now. The cab and chassis is being built at the moment. We estimate the cab and chassis to be complete probably around the end of October. By the time the bed is mounted, we hope to be able to receive a truck by late March, early April. If we wait and go with a different cab and chassis, it will be late October, December of '25 before that would be available.
That was gonna be my question, is when you're gonna be able to get it?
Yes. This is, the engine is a PACCAR PX9, 380 horsepower, 1,250 pounds of torque. Allison 4500 transmission, 6-speed, with a push-button shifter. The warranty, the axle has a 5-year, 750,000-mile warranty. The engine has a 2-year, 250,000-mile warranty. 5-year warranty on emissions. It has the largest brakes available. One of the problems with the current truck that we have is it was built for a southern states, warmer climate. And the hills, the mountains we go over, larger brakes are needed. It was built, the previous truck was built without an engine brake. So this gives us an extra stopping power coming down mountains and higher grades. It's built for winter weather. It has a battery heater, a fuel line heater, an engine block heater, and blanket heaters for the fuel lines.
So you're saying it looks like it'll be March?
Late March, early April before it'd be available.
Why does it take so long to mount a bed?
I have no idea.
I mean, I understand the truck's being built here in October. I mean, Lord,
I'd like to have it tomorrow.
yeah, I know we would. That's what I'm saying. If the truck's built, I mean, man, the bed, I mean, it's just a, I don't know.
Whitewater raced and see if you can borrow one of their trucks.
Well, borrow their bed. We've got a truck. We just need to borrow the daggone, the
So
bed part of it.
250,000 miles. How many miles a year do you put on one?
I don't have that information in front of me, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But I wanted, did you pick the painted Peterbilt flame red acrylic paint?
We did, because the current truck's white, our wrecker is red,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
and our dump truck is red, so
All right.
it just matches the
Match
fleet.
everything up, do good.
Yes, sir.
I thought maybe you were putting flames on the side of it.
No, it won't have any flames.
Okay, well, I saw the flame.
It's
I saw the
flame red.
I want the flames on there. I didn't know that. See what?
I don't want to encourage any speeding by the driver.
Yeah, I got you. Do it there.
Yes, ma'am. It has a 80-gallon diesel tank. It will average about 9.5 miles per gallon. High efficiency, 9.5. When you consider our buses average between 5 and 7 miles per gallon, it's actually doing pretty good.
Yeah, it's a big truck.
It has a 40 cubic yard bed, so that's the largest we can have on the open road.
Any other questions?
Is the one we have now, I mean, you said you guys were having to be, are we able to patch it at all?
Yes, we got it back late this afternoon.
Okay.
Were able to go out and hit a few schools, pick up a load. This truck is just used every day.
Yeah.
It's used throughout the summer. It does not get to dump the garbage at the landfill where you take your home
No.
trash and throw it in the bin. You have to go all the way out into the landfill, sometimes twice a day. It's out on the road when there's ice. It goes through the mud at the landfill. It's been used.
It's a wonder you don't have more flat tires instead of that daggone landfill. It's terrible backing out there and dumping.
Our goal is to have this truck have the current truck as a backup and run it about once a week here in town, just to make sure if the new one has an issue, we have a backup and we don't have to go through the days of encouraging maintenance personnel to pick it up by hand.
Yeah, I'd agree. I appreciate it.
Any other
I hope
questions?
it could be here earlier, but good to at least get it.
Cross our fingers.
Get it ordered, yeah.
Okay, do I have a motion to
Thank you.
approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Consider approval of the grant access for the Girl Scouts, Black Diamond Council, and Boy Scouts. Anybody has any questions? We have someone here that can answer them.
And I can speak briefly about the reason this is on your agenda. House Bill 4836, the patriotic access to students in schools.
Just a quick correction, it's 4863, House Bill 4863.
Thank you for that correction. I was reading from the letter. Thank you, sir. But it did pass this past session, and now school systems, upon request or submission by these patriotic societies, of which Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts belong or are on the list, these societies would basically inform the board that they would like to visit our schools, and you'll grant approval for that, and then we will inform our schools that the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts have come before the board, received approval, and then each agency or society would work with each principal in our elementary schools. I believe that's the age groups these entities have requested to approach. But anyway, they can visit the school during the instructional day. Parents can exempt their children from participating, but this is basically an opportunity for the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts tonight to have permission to be in our schools, to interact with students, and hopefully encourage students to participate in each of the societies.
Does anybody have any questions, Mr. Wonderly?
Are you gonna make it easy on me?
Yeah.
We hope so.
I didn't know we even had,
Just so you know, we're very sensitive to,
You can come up. You can come up
I
and
just-
speak.
yeah.
They record the meetings and they're live.
Oh, okay. All
They're
right.
live, so you're on TV.
So just real quick, I've been doing scouting for 45 years. That includes as a youth and as an adult. We go into the schools real quickly. It's a 3.5, I can do it in 3 minutes and 22 seconds. Info commercial in the classroom, hand out the flyer, tell the kids, come visit scouting, find out about scouting. And then they come to a recruitment in their local area with the parents and the kids that are already in scouting in their local schools. And we're in and out. We want to be very sensitive to the principals, the time, and so forth. How this bill got there, I just ended up, I didn't put this bill out there or this change or anything with the legislature. I just ended up in the room when they were discussing it. But we've been doing this, like I said, I've been going into classrooms for, 40 years. Well, I can't say that because I was a kid for part of that, or at least 30 years. So we don't do, this isn't something new, this isn't something a change, it just allows us to talk to the kids, and we find out the difference between handing the flyer out, the teacher sending it home with the kids, and us actually telling the kids about scouting is like a 30-to-1 difference. So, anyway. Any questions? Any blank looks? Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
I move we approve the grant access to the Girl Scout Black Diamond Council and the Boy Scouts of America to speak and recruit students in accordance with House Bill 4863.
Second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you for coming.
Oh, you're telling him, thank you.
Superintendent's recommendations for personnel 2425.
Okay, Ms. Samanko is at a school this evening, so she's unable to join us, but we do have 4 corrections to the recos. So on page 2, in the bottom section, substitute teachers B, you will see Jerry Redden's name mentioned, and that his effective date should be 8/19/2024. If anyone is curious, Mr. Redden is subbing for us at Transportation. Mr. Bakejian is out for some time, so Mr. Redden is subbing as Director of Transportation for us. Page 5. AIDS, under AIDS, the very first name, Mercedes Bloomfield, needs to be removed. On page 6, the very last section, recommended for appointment, Eugenia Akerd. Not only should she say aid 3, it should be aid 3/ECAT 2. And then on page 8, letter C, third person, Jose Fernandez, from bus operator 244 to 279. Please remove him from the agenda. My recommendation would be as presented with corrections so noted.
Okay, you have heard our recommendation, do you have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approve the speech language pathologist. You want to say anything, Alan? Tea leaf?
She's filling in for a maternity leave.
Oh,
I'm surprised you got her to come back to work.
okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. We do thank you for coming. That's all we have on the agenda. This meeting is adjourned. Yeah, I'm surprised you came back.